going to go past where Molly used to live in Sun River, and we're going to go near Lapine State Park, where we will be plein air painting tomorrow.
So we're now on our way to fish the Fall River with a guided tour, and it's Scott's first time ever fly fishing, so he's quite excited about it. And
the inaugural experience here. Getting closer to those mountains, Peter. Across. There we go.
Well, this is Peter attempting to get into his waders.
Trying to turn into a seal. Oh, that's it, that's better.
Is that the large or extra large?
This is the large.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that working out for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you sure you're comfortable in that
I
one?
say yes anyway, in the present company.
Okay, these are going to be great.
Awesome. Yeah, so and we'll probably go up to the headwaters later today. Just coming below it, basically just want to pick up your rod and place that floating line on the other side of your indicator to create what we call a upswing. And I'll show you that, and we'll work on that. But way back there and casting and doing all this stuff, we're not going to be doing that. We're really just going to be kind of picking up our rod tip and working it on out there. So as you can see. And you'll probably do it 4 or 5 different times when you're fighting a fish. They'll kind of come at you, and then they'll freak out again, and you just really got to let them do their thing. Get down to the spot, I can start recording.
Which river are we on?
We're on the Fall River in Central Oregon. Yeah, so it's a spring-fed creek, the Fall River. So as you can see, it's a very, very clear, technical trout river. We're fishing by the Fall River hatchery. They stock it with a broodstock program of really big red-side trout, they're called. It's a specific strain of rainbow trout called the red-side trout. But it's an incredible fishery, not numbers and size-wise. It's just absolutely incredible.
So how long have you been guiding now?
So I've been guiding now for, let's see, just about 5 years. I was guiding in Northern California for a couple of years. I did a season up in Alaska. And then this is my first season guiding in Central Oregon.
Was this just a seasonal thing or a full-time job?
Well, it's my first season, but it'll turn into a full-time job here is the plan. Kind of guiding in Oregon this year instead of going to Alaska, so turning it into a full-time gig here.
Great. Right, and you've also got a lovely piece of artwork that I'd like to see both of you at, because our colleague also has one over here. Can we have a look at that wonderful fish on your arm?
Definitely.
Yeah. And just look at that as a work of art. And it was called, this is a...
That's a lingcod.
Yeah, right.
Got a lingcod.
But you've got one on the other side as well.
Yeah, and I got a coastal cutthroat trout on this side here.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And of course, you've got one as well. You've got some fantastic, you've got a fantastic fish as well.
There you go. Get them out.
Caught this guy early this morning.
Koi carp.
So, I think we'll probably have really either one of you two on this spot and the other one on that spot. They're very similar in the way they're laid out.
I'll go on the lower one. I'll go on the lower one. No, this is for you as much as you. No, this is for you. I get as much pleasure out of this as you do. So this is for you as well.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, I'll go on the lower one out the way.
Okay. And we can also switch spots too. You know, as we're fishing, a big thing here is changing flies. So you'll probably see me every 30 minutes to an hour if we're not getting bites changing flies. And so, you know, if you guys, we'll probably start doing a little experimenting with different flies. And once you guys have different flies on, you know, it's not a bad idea to just switch every once in a while and show those fish different flies. They can be really responsive if you show them new stuff.
We'll follow your lead, Jerry.
Okay, so You know what I want to do, so I'm not fishing in the good water for these first few casts, but I want to kind of show you a demo of how I approach this water, is we'll just come right back up here. And I'm just going to show you guys a few casts of how I approach the river. Okay. So, for the most part, because the current's going downstream to the left here, it's probably going to be easiest to start casting over our left shoulders. But we're just basically going to be doing roll casts like this, and you guys are fine right there. I'm not doing any back casting, so the farthest back my line's going to go is right there. But a really important thing as far as roll casting goes is making sure you're picking up your flies off of the bottom and getting them higher in that water column. If you just simply try to flick it out there before you, so while you're at the end of your drift like that, it's going to start tugging on your line, and that bobber's going to stop moving right there. And that's where you want to stop. And we'll play around with it today. As you get more comfortable with it, you can take line off your reel and feed line out to it and let it go a little bit further. But we'll start probably with pretty short lines here. But you're going to want to bring it back to you, and you're going to lift that rod tip up. See how those flies are coming right off the bottom? They're almost skating along the surface. And then you're just going to flick it out like that. If you try to cast it while those flies are all the way down, it's going to take a lot of that momentum that you would get on your cast and just use that to basically get the flies to the surface of the water. So it's really important to kind of skate those flies on the surface almost before you flick it right up on there. Right, so that's the indicator. That's really all you need to keep your eyes out on. Okay. So if a fish gets your fly or a rock snags your fly, the indicator is going to do the same thing. It's going to drop. It's going to sink underwater. And anytime that happens, you want to be really quick with it. If you kind of like, oh, I think that's under, I don't know, you're going to lose a lot of fish. So every time that indicator sinks and goes underwater, you're always going to want to set the hook downstream. And what I mean by set the hook is the fish is going to grab your fly, but you want to yank on your rod so you get that hook through the fish's mouth. Exactly. And we're fishing light lines, so you don't want to like what you see bass fishermen do, just crazy set on it. But I'll kind of show you an example of how hard that would be. And because you guys are standing right there, I'm going to do it upstream, but when it does go down, you're always going to want to set it. He was checking out my fly there, huh? You always want to set it downstream. So actually I can just kind of show you, but it's basically just going to be like that. A nice solid flick like that. Okay. Nothing too crazy, but you know, imagine how much pressure it'd take one of those hooks to get through a fish's mouth. Right. But nothing too hard, but also nothing too soft. And you'll kind of find that happy balance as we go. But anytime that goes under, no hesitation. If you see it go under, just give it a nice set like that.
So really what you're doing, Gary, what I'm observing is that you're just starting it back here, letting it float, nothing hits, rinse and repeat.
Yep.
Rinse and repeat.
Exactly. And sometimes you'll have to show these fish 50 casts before one decides they want it. Okay. You know, it's not going to be an every cast type of thing. They're not going to want it every single time. And like I said, we'll experiment and we'll switch up flies and show them different things as the day goes on. But I think that's kind of the basics as far as that. And then as we go, I'll obviously, you know, give you pointers and we'll see if we can get some fish here.
It's entirely normal to have this, what are you calling this line here?
So it's all floating line. But yeah, so basically as you kind of get more experienced with it, say, you would usually cast it upstream, but I'm just going to kind of show you if you're at the end of your drift like that and it's going on down. With this extra line, what you can do is just kind of flick that rod tip up. You can feed out extra line to it so you can get a much longer drift. And
that takes a little more experience.
Right. Yeah. And you'll get there today. But yeah, we wouldn't start off doing that probably. We'll just have a little bit of line out like this and we'll just be flicking it. And that mend thing I was talking about earlier. So you see how this floating line is way in front of your indicator right there. So what you want to do is pick that line up and place it on the other side of that indicator without trying to move that indicator. Anytime you move that indicator, it's going to pick those flies up off the bottom, which is exactly where those fish are, and that's exactly where you want that want those flies to be. So I'll just show you one more time, but this floating line, it's always going to want to float faster. So just kind of picking that up, placing it on the other side of the bobber, it can go a long way, because what happens if you don't do that, I'll kind of show you that, if your floating line's way on that side, and it'll matter more when we're in the faster water, but it's going to start swinging your indicator faster, like right there. See how it starts swinging it? And anytime that indicator has any pressure on it that's not a dead drift, it's going to pick those flies up off the bottom. So I'm sure you're kind of picking up a theme here, but you want your flies to be on the bottom. These fish, as you can see, are all sitting on the bottom, and they see a lot of flies every day. They don't want to move far and grab it. They want it to just come right by them. And so that's where these, right, and that's where these indicators come into play. You can slide them up and down to change the depth of where your flies are.
These little, oh, I see them. Okay. Those are fish.
Yeah. But yeah, so if we're ever just, every cast we're getting stuck on bottom, or we don't feel like we're getting our flies far down enough, what we can do is adjust this indicator, this bobber, to change the depth at what flies we're fishing. Right away. But as you can see, the average size fish in here is pretty big. When you hook them, they're gonna wanna swim around and do their thing. They're gonna wanna fight. So what you do is, after you set that hook, after you give it a nice jab, I would keep your hands right off this reel and this drag, so you can adjust the drag right here for how much force it takes. So I'll have that nice and set for you. And so I would just keep your hands away from it, and as that fish runs, it's gonna bend your rod and it's gonna start taking line off of this reel.
And then just let them do their thing.
For a little while, and I'll kind of coach you through it.
Okay,
you know, once they stop fighting a little bit, you're gonna wanna reel, bring in some slack, get them closer to you, and then they might wanna run again. And then you keep your hands off the reel, let that reel do all the work. And yeah, usually it's like, I don't know, maybe 3 to 5 times or so when you're fighting one of these fish, where they'll run and come back, and then they'll run.
Out eventually.
Exactly. And once they get tired, that's just something you'll learn as you go along. I'll coach you through that as well. But they'll come to the surface, and you can see they're kind of giving up. They'll come their sides, and they'll just kind of hang out on the surface.
Okay, I'm done.
Right, and then we can just kind of slide them right into the net is the idea.
I see a lot of flying on the surface, so this is what we're simulating.
So we're simulating basically the nymph versions of those.
Oh, which is the larva coming up?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Which is like spawning and coming up?
Yep.
You remember something? That's great.
Yeah.
And if we see a lot of fish coming up and eating flies off the surface, we can definitely fish some dry flies. But I'd say the nymphs that we have right now are going to be a little bit more effective. And I'll help you with that.
I'm going down here.
Well, that didn't take long, did it?
He's in.
Beautiful colour, these fish. Pinks. Are we using barbers or?
We are.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep, totally.
Beautiful.
There.
There we go.
Right, got the fish I came for. Got another one that's icing on the cake, but it's great, wonderful. Now we're just going to try and get our colleague one. Catch and release or a keepable?
That's up to you. He does have his clipped fin, so you could keep him.
That is entirely up to you.
Okay. Let's keep it.
Okay. If we're gonna keep them, I'll bring them right up here.
Okay.
If you want to try to hold them for the camera and get
Yeah, that would be nice for
video
you.
of you?
Yeah, well done.
There it is.
Well done, Scott. Your first fish on fly. Well,
Rainbow.
super.
Yeah. There we go, guys.
Wonderful.
Hi there. I'm not sure if this is a rainbow. It's fighting better, but it doesn't look as pink.
That's a nice one.
Yeah. It could be a keeper. Oh, it is a rainbow, yeah. Yeah, it's a better one. Oh, that's a good fish, yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice fish. Take your time with it. No need to rush it.
Oh yes, about £2, 2.5. He's going to make a sudden dash in a minute.
Try to keep them away from that log jam the best
Yes.
you can. You're doing good though.
He's not done yet. He's being a bit clever, this one.
Yeah.
Using the current now. Come away. That's it.
Good. He's a fighter, this one.
This one is, yeah. And these tiny flies, I don't want to put too much on. That's better, he's coming now.
There he
Yeah,
is.
that's a lovely fish. Now that's worth getting a photograph of. We'll have that one.
That's a nice one.
Oh, this is rainbow, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good fish, yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice fish. So take your time with it. No need to rush it.
He's going to make a sudden catch. jumped out of the water yet.
They're not huge on jumping in here. Oh, there he goes. Just try to keep him away from that log jam the best you can. You're doing good though.
He's not done yet. He's being a bit clever. This one.
Yeah. You're good. He's a fighter, this one.
This one is, yeah. These tiny flies. This is too much. That's better. He's coming now.
There he is.
A lovely fish.
That's a great one.
We'll have that one. That's what I came for. Thanks.
You're welcome. Yeah, beautiful fish.
Tap on the head.
Yeah.
Oh, look at the colours on that. Yes, it's that. You got this one. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful colours. Yeah, look at him from, yeah.
Shot of him.
Once we get him out, we'll. You got that left? Yeah.
Yes, we do. Yeah, look.
Yeah, is that that's a rainbow.
That's a nice one. Beauty.
Got our canvases ready to go.
Oh yeah.
So,
Probably dump one bag in, throw the fish in, and then we can dump the other.
okay.
Guy in there. Do you want me to put this one on top?
Sure. Whatever you, yeah.
Yeah. You better not start catching them down there. I will. Alrighty. Fish do its thing.
Okay.
Keep that rod nice and bent though.
Okay.
He's gone? Yeah. Let me make sure we still got our flies there.
Okay. Should I have done something different?
No, that was good. Sometimes they just get off.
Just wriggle off.
We're fishing tiny little barbless hooks, and it happens. But you can see how small that hook is.
Oh, wow.
So just depending on where they eat it, sometimes they'll just get right off. But yeah, so I want to loosen that drag. Well, you know what? Actually, bring that over towards me. It looked like one of your flies might have got wrapped. Oh no, it fixed itself. You're good.
You're good?
Yeah. I would try to keep that line between either one of your fingers or your first two fingers.
Oh,
like that.
while it's drifting.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then like,
Very good.
so say you're feeding it out line and stuff, you can kind of like do one of these. That's usually what I do, is like open and close it as you're giving it more line. Right.
Okay.
And so that'll help a lot when you do go to set the hook on a fish. Sometimes you'll get fish to come up when your fly is kind of swinging like that. But the beginning of that was good. Oh yeah?
But nothing said.
Gotcha. It'll happen really quick. Where did it go down?
It was like right in the middle.
Yeah, I bet that was probably a fish. Oh, looks like he's on one. I'm gonna take just the little one off and see, because I just added that big one. So I want to leave that guy on there. There you go. Give that line a nice mend. Yep. Yeah.
put it, it wants to go back.
Right. Which? Yeah. I'll go check on Peter there. I'm sure you'll hook one as soon as I walk away.
No problem.
So just scream.
Around just now, I've lost one since. Just
Oh, nice.
dropped off. I
Yes.
see one big one.
Oh, there's some good ones in there. Yeah, so basically you just twist it. It untwists like that and twists on tight. So you just loosen it, slide it up or down.
Okay.
We started down there, so I'm gonna bring it up a little bit. But if you feel like you're still not getting down enough, just grab this, untwist it, and just slide it a little bit more.
This deeper hole here must match.
Yep, definitely. Oh yeah.
No good up there?
Nothing yet. We've had a few fish kind of follow. Haven't been able to hook one yet.
He wasn't done fighting.
Yes, he was.
Bring him to you?
Yep. You can reel on him a little bit.
Okay.
There it is.
Wonderful.
He's kind of a small guy, huh, Gary?
Yeah, we'll probably let this one go.
Yeah.
There he is. Nice.
You want a picture with him or anything?
Yeah. Yes, have a picture with him.
There you go.
Well done, Scott.
All right, and then just let him slip into the water?
Yeah, I'll put him in the net here and I'll just kind of
Yeah.
Depending on how much energy they have, if you let them sit right here, they're either going to take off right away, or you can do a little reviving action like that. And that'll just kind of force oxygen into their lungs if you kind of run them back and forth.
It's hard to get to the guy. Half of the boat.
Yeah, so that one was probably about this size. The one I put in the car was definitely deeper. The one right after wasn't. It was probably around this size. Very happy, yeah. Awesome. Hopefully, right?
Another little one. Anyway.
All
smaller one. He's on. And put him back in again.
Dude, yeah.
I'm feeling a little bit in my shoulder.
Yep.
In the shoulder blade.
Do you have prior back problems or anything? No?
Yeah, this is
settle.
Polynesian.
What is it symbolising something in
there's
particular?
there's a toucan bird. There's a fish in there. There's waves, and it's typical of what elder tribesmen would wear in the village in Polynesia.
Very old tribesman.
Yeah, very old.
No, that's great.
Up right here if you want.
You know, right, yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'll take it from me up here. Okay, we are. Might be the last fish. We'll see one more big one if we can, but okay.
Around in Spring-Fed Creek, and there's a few spring. Every single tree up here
Let's see my beavers.
has some beaver in it.
Let's see what the beavers have been doing here.